The aircraft's engine was another groundbreaking innovation. The XB-70 was equipped with 6 engines. At that time, it was unheard of. But such a decision was justified. 3 of the engines were placed at the root of each wing, and 3 more in the middle part of the fuselage. And even if one engine failed, the plane could stay in the air. After designing the plane, the engineers proceeded to testing. The first flight took place in 1964 and was a huge success. The plane was able to accelerate to Mach 3.02 and reach an altitude of more than 22 kilometers. No other aircraft had ever done that before. Why was the plane never adopted? Despite its spectacular performance, the plane was never adopted by the Air Force. Why? There were several reasons. First, the plane was too expensive. By the mid-60s, the cost of one aircraft had risen to $450 million, which was crazy money for those times. Second, the aircraft turned out to be too large and unwieldy. The length of the plane was more than 180 feet, which made it difficult to operate. Well, third, the U.S. wanted to avoid a war with the Soviet Union at all costs. Therefore, they preferred to cancel the project rather than risk it. However, all of this is just a plausible explanation. In fact, there was a simpler reason why the XB-70 was never accepted into service. It was that the Valkyrie was just too expensive and risky. But the true reason was something else entirely. The thing was that, by the middle of the 60s, the U.S. military had already realized that the traditional concept of warfare was changing. The role of bombers in the new concept was greatly reduced, since now the primary means of waging war were becoming missiles that could be launched from afar without risking the lives of pilots. And that's what happened. What would the world have been like if the project had been adopted? What if the Valkyrie hadn't been canceled and had gone into serial production? Of course, the main thing would have been that the U.S. would have had the most powerful weapon of deterrence against the Soviets, but that's not all. The Valkyrie would have been the first supersonic strategic bomber in the world. This would have shocked the Soviet Union and could have led to a complete revision of their military doctrine. Most likely, the Russians would have tried to respond with something similar. This would have led to an unprecedented arms race, and the likelihood of global nuclear war would have increased significantly. Perhaps the Valkyrie would never have gone into production because of this.